This is going to be a very different video from the content I make today, but a year ago today I made this video right here, and it did good. But it had some issues that with this remaster I'm going to try and fix, namely the long rants, so hope you all enjoy. In the year of 2014, a little game called Call of Duty Advanced Warfare came out, introducing a lot more people to the system of supply drops. And yes, while supply drops had existed in games before Advanced Warfare, with how massive the Call of Duty series is, I feel it helped to popularize the sales and implementation of them into games. For a short few years, the system was a plague on the gaming industry, as you would rarely be able to find a game without them. And you would see this trend until another huge and massive game came along and helped to popularize a system that is arguably better, introducing Fortnite. This game's success is unlike any others. It had a massive explosion in late 2017, leading over into 2018. This game would demolish the supply drop system in what at the time was a side project for Epic called Battle Royale. At the time, Save the World still had the supply drop system, however the Hunger Games-esque game mode would show the world the Battlepass. With this game's success, it snuffed out the supply drop system in games, and instead had major studios implementing a Battle Pass into their games in place of the supply drop system. Even to this day, 5 to 6 years later, we are still feeling what I call the Fortnite effect in games. I said the Battle Pass is arguably better. What I meant by that is that certain gaming companies like Activision Blizzard have started putting what can be considered pay-to-win items in the Battle Pass, like the new heroes in Overwatch. And while monetization in games has always been a thing, it's definitely worse than it ever has been, with almost every game having some form of currency that they don't give away for free, or do, but in very little portions. This, in all honesty, feels like a detriment to the players, while also filling up the greedy companies' pockets. Not to mention, a lot of games nowadays feel like a copy and paste of each other. It's kind of like when you ask your friend to copy his homework and change a few things, so hopefully it won't go noticed. My whole point with this is I feel companies see us as wallets now who will pay for whatever bullshit garbage they put out. Call of Duty! Sorry, I don't know what got into me. 3 years after the release of Fortnite came a game Bethesda fans had been waiting for since 2016, a follow-up to their ever-popular franchise called Doom. With Doom Eternal being released at the height of the Battle Pass craze, it was no doubt we were going to get a Battle Pass system in this game. Looking at Doom from the outside, you probably think that this is what a transgender plays to get his daily supplement of testosterone, and you are 100% correct. Doom is easily one of the goriest games around, but don't let that deter you from it. Doom Eternal is genuinely a very difficult game though, and I remember dying a lot on my first playthrough, but what I quickly came to realize was that every time I died, it was my fault, whether it be because I wasn't moving enough or because in general I made a mistake. Now, I'm not saying this game is perfect, so please don't get that twisted. You will still die because of a bug on occasion. However, the game will let you know you are making a mistake by punishing you harshly, either for not moving enough or in general, making a mistake. When I first picked up Doom Eternal, I had no clue what I was getting into. Would this be another mindless shooter? In my head at the time, I thought it was. And at the end of the day, I thought, oh well, another game for me to play and have fun with at least. Getting into Doom, you get a cutscene that drops one of the hardest speeches I've ever heard.
Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done.
Anyways, sorry for that, but it made me grow a mustache and I figured you'd want one as well. Getting back on point, the game spawns you in a room with what the community calls fodder. There's 3 fodder in the room with you, and your first objective is to
Rip and tear.
The first 2 levels introduce you to the base mechanics of the game, and by level 3 you should have everything aside from the weapons. During the first level, you're introduced to weapon mods, and while you might think, oh, a fun little gimmick to help me with enemies, well, for one, yeah, kinda. In the first level, however, you may notice that weapon mods have certain advantages, like the sticky bombs for Cacodemons and Sniper Shot for the Arachnotron. As you progress through the game, you notice that the enemies become harder and harder, and the levels become harder and harder, and that's typical. But you notice that certain weapon mods do have certain advantages, and in fact, every gun has a use.
Aside from the chain gun. Fuck the chain gun.
And you may notice this with a few weapons, and how they have advantages over certain demons. I remember on my first playthrough calling the ballista awful, but upon a second playthrough I realized the strength of the gun. And then on my third playthrough, I realized the Arbalest shot was really good against the Pain Elemental in Cacodemon. Upon my third playthrough, a realization hit me. Every gun has some use, whether it be big or small. This right here is when Doom became much more than a mindless shooter. This was a puzzle game with guns. Realizing this was a huge step towards understanding fully how to play Doom. And while I liked the game before my third playthrough, that moment of realization is where I truly fell in love with the game. It was no longer the same mindless shooter that most games had become. The mechanics of this game are truly unlike any other, with loads of different ways to do pretty much everything. For example, taking down a Mancubus. A Mancubus is a very big, heavy enemy with 2 guns for arms. You have a few options: the SSG Super Shotgun, Ballista Combo, 4 rockets, or taking out the weak points, which are the handguns, and then hitting it with the sticky bomb or the sniper shot or a ballista shot. The game gives you tons of options on how to effectively take down pretty much every demon. And that's another reason why Doom Eternal is so fun. Not to mention the countless secrets found in each level that can unlock cheat codes or give you a boost in your abilities. It's fun trying to find everything, and sure, finding some of these things might be a little hard, but they are never difficult and make the game a bit more fun. Doom Eternal also, unlike most games, has a completely free battle pass, and while most games would shove it down your throat that they have one, Doom doesn't. It's hidden in the main menu, and the rewards it gives you are truly great as well. Another thing I like is how the microtransactions in the game aren't there to make you suffer and want to buy more. They are all cosmetic, and once again, while they look great, it isn't apparent that the game has these until you go through some of the menus to find them. Doom Eternal also has 2 DLC campaigns that continue the main story, and while they are short, provide a huge challenge to those looking for something harder. What I like about these DLCs is that they are perfect if you have that itch for more blood and fury. But then again, you don't need to download them as they are entirely optional, and the master levels already do a good job at that anyways. The master levels. What was I going to say about those? Oh yeah. The master levels play the exact same as the normal levels, aside from one thing. They are way, way harder than the base levels, and they are also as challenging as the DLC campaigns, as I just said. This can also scratch that itch that you may have. The master levels also give you a ton of rewards for completing them on varying difficulties, ranging from the worst rewards being on the easiest difficulty to the best being on the hardest. One other thing I noticed after a few playthroughs was prioritizing demons. For example, let's say you cleared out half a room of demons and, they're being revived? Introducing the Archvile. This demon is what I call a high priority demon, meaning that once this guy spawns, stop killing whatever demon you are fighting and immediately seek out the Archvile, as not only does he revive the demons, he makes them stronger as well. He basically acts as a buff totem in demon form. This makes the game a lot more engaging for me as well, because it's now no longer about figuring out what gun is good to use against what demon, but instead, what demons need to go first, along with what guns do I use for this demon. One of the best parts of Doom Eternal is the hardest difficulty called UltraNightmare, and it plays the same as the normal Nightmare mode except for one thing. If you die, you restart the entire campaign, and while most games wouldn't care if you completed the game on the hardest difficulty, Doom Eternal rewards you with some actually great looking things for beating all 3 campaigns on UltraNightmare. Here's what you get for completing the base game, the DLC Ancient Gods Part 1, or Tag 1, and Tag 2. I love this because it encourages you to play the hardest difficulty, and before I made the switch to PC, I was prepping for an UltraNightmare run on all 3 campaigns. One other thing I'd like to go back to is the free Battle Pass. I really like this because all the rewards are truly amazing, and they all look great, and it's also not shoved down your throat. The only other thing I can think of that has a free battle pass, or well, had one, was Fortnite leading into Season 8 when they were trying to beat Apex in competition. I feel a lot of gaming companies can learn from Doom Eternal and Bethesda about how to manage making a game feel unique, and making a great battle pass system with few microtransactions. I get with live service games that might not be an option, but at least trying to find a better system to put in games would help, especially because we don't need more overpriced skins that look awful. Even lowering the prices of some of your in-game currencies could help a lot. I remember when V-Bucks in Fortnite were still $10 and not the $8 that they are today, and ever since they dropped the price down to $8, I have actually been buying more and more V-Bucks rather than when they were $10. And Fortnite is still surviving and it's still a live service game. I feel not only can we learn something from Doom Eternal, but also from Fortnite with their in-game currency price drops. There's honestly not a lot left to say, but at the end of the day, Doom Eternal has been one of the best games I've played in recent times. And even though companies won't, I hope one day they can learn from Doom on how to manage making a game more fun and engaging.